Well, Darren, let's start just by talking about the new contract. From what you
Yeah.
said previously, obviously nice from the outside to have that public backing, but actually internally it's just not a lot changes, on you go.
No, nothing really in terms of the focus has always been on the short term and the middle term and the long term. And quite simply, I was out of contract in the summer. So, we spoke with the chairman and I in this summer and said we'd sort it out when we got time, and that's what we've done. We all mirror each other's ambitions in all those three areas. So I'm absolutely delighted to stay and sign a new contract, because I see real potential in the club in terms of the growth in it, as I've spoken about before. And obviously the aim now is to become an established championship team, and hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, really nice that it can work like that in such a relaxed way, and that you hear a lot of clubs talk about having a seamless structure behind the scenes. But I think we've seen the evidence here, the fact that you've been away and come back twice over, you've had all of that experience. There's a really strong relationship there.
Yeah, there is, and also with with Jason and Randy now, not just myself and Dara, but yeah, all four of us. We've sat down and discussed all the way along the plans that we've got for the football club. Nothing's ever changed. The big change has been the big positive one, us getting promoted to the championship, and now it's my job to try and keep the team in there. And obviously we'd like to be in a healthier position in the league, but I think in terms of moving forward with the club, I think it's obviously the correct decision.
Yeah, and when you came back the most recent time, presumably the biggest unknown would have been the Randy and Jason factor, in that they were the two guys you didn't know from previously, but it just seems to have been totally seamless.
Yeah, it has, and both different types of characters and personalities, but I get on well with both of them. That was a big thing for me when I came back, because initially it was a short-term deal. When I came back, I think it was in January. But the facts are this: in the whole time the chairman's been in the owner of the football club, I'm the only manager ever to get promoted. So the facts are there. In the last 8 years, no one's ever done it, and the last time they got promoted before this time was when I was manager. So the facts stack up quite heavily in my favour, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly shows a relationship that works. The other big news behind the scenes over the past couple of weeks, Mark Robson moving on. Did that come as a bit of a surprise, or was it something that you'd seen brewing for a while? How did it work?
No, well, Mark's got got some situation going on, personal details I'm not going to go into, but he needed to be closer to home. I was aware of it. I was managing the situation with Mark. We got on great, and he's a very, very good coach. And it just came to the situation where, we had to sort of make a decision, and obviously we wish him well. He's got a job right next door to where he lives, and I think, look, in terms of family situations, that's always more important in football, and he goes with all our best wishes, and then I had a decision to make. But when we had conversations, it wasn't as if it was just hit on me. I had time to think about, maybe if this happens, what would I do? And I'd kind of made my decision that I wanted to go internal with it. I wasn't going to go out and start looking for other people outside, because quite frankly, I'm happy with what the coaches do here. I think the way we work means that it's a very easy transition for whoever was to do that, and it's Matty Everington, obviously, who's worked with us all last season, a lot on match days, knows the way we want to work, as do Simon and Jamal, who's a little bit newer, but we kind of all just get on and muck in together, and it's seamless really in what we're doing, and we'll see how it goes, and as in if people are comfortable in their roles, and then we'll take it from there.
Is this a bit of a new thing for you, in the sense of, I was just thinking back over your previous spells here, firstly you haven't had too many different assistants, and I'm not sure you've actually changed mid-season before, have you?
No, I don't think I've changed mid-season. I've had 3 promotions with 3 different assistants, so I think it doesn't really affect my job in terms of how I work, but they're all very, very different. But listen, I've watched Matty carefully. That's why I wanted to get him involved with the first team a little bit more, to see what he was all about. Very organised, very good coach, and he's ready. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you've had a couple of new players come in over the past few days as well, a couple of younger ones, it will be a little while before Joe's available for the senior side owing to the nature of that transfer. But for Kai Corbett, potentially he could be involved straight away. He's got an amazing CV, all of the places he's been. How long have you been looking at him for?
Yeah, for a while, he's been on the radar, I would say, for a short time, in terms of aware that the situation with West Ham, he didn't want to sign a contract extension with them, which was offered to him. So really he's been at one or two places, and we got him in, and Kieran made me aware that we were bringing him in, and to be fair, he did really well. Lads liked him, Matty, Simon, Kieran. I got some eyes on him and thought, yeah, I like it. And then obviously Barry had to sort the deal out, which he did with West Ham. And no, we think he's got good potential. He's not, he's not going to be chucked straight in there at all. But he'll play in some of the under-23 games that we've got coming up, one tomorrow. And if he flies and does really well in them, then it might be quicker than what we thought. That sometimes happens.
Yeah, it's a bit like with Flynn Clark, but in reverse, when you're a young player, striking that balance between, do I go for a big club but then I'm further away from getting matches, or do I go to a club where I've got a better chance of having first team football? It's a tough decision, isn't it, for some young players?
Yeah, it is a tough decision, but I think what favours heavily in our situation as a club is we develop players, and the facts are there that we put, I'm prepared to put young players into the first team. So I think that's, for me, I also liked about the lad was his ambition to play first team football was way above anything else. His desire to come and join a club that did that and develop players was at the forefront of his mind, and that was really made it, for me, I thought, okay, well he's got the right character.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. More immediately then for this weekend, you ended up actually with quite a list of players away on international duty. So Connor, Ronnie, and then Jack Taylor and Idris as well. Have they all come back safe and sound?
Yeah, they're all fine. Idris got a short period. It was good for him. Connor played both games, set up the winner for Ireland in the last minute, so that was good. That keeps their hopes alive. Jack has gone away and not been involved, which is disappointing, but I'm sure he would have enjoyed the experience. Like even playing against Portugal and Ronaldo and all the rest of it would have been a good experience for the boy. And then Ronnie's played 2 games out of the 3 and kept clean sheets in both. So no, it's really good. Ronnie was moaning about the fact that it was -2 over there, so it wouldn't have done him any harm. No, it's great. The more we have, the better. There's no doubt about it. And this is when you get to the Championship and people are playing on a regular basis, you would expect more international call-ups.
And you've got Nathan Thompson back for the weekend.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away in terms of specifics with the injuries, are you okay with all of that as well? No nasty surprises?
No, injuries, touch wood, were fine. Joe Randall's trained all week. Ricky's back training. We've mentioned the ones that have been away, they've all come back fine. Tom was obviously back from suspension. I look over at my board and who's injured, and it's the strongest I think we've been for probably since the start of the season, touch wood. So no, we're looking healthy. Yeah,
good to see it's heading in that direction.
Yeah.
And having Nathan back as well really unlocks all of your different options, doesn't it? In that he can play in so many different positions, and then as we saw against Fulham, Joe Ward had to slot in at right back, but he can go further up the team if you need him to. So it's all back on.
Yeah, I mean, there's some players in the squad, and this is why we recruit the players we have, that can play in various positions in various formations. Tom was one of those. You can obviously play right back in a back 4. You can play anywhere in the back 3. You can play right wing back. He gives you a lot of good options. It means that with players that can play in different formations and different positions, you can start with one formation and flip it after 20 minutes if you need to. And that's something that I think we've done really well. Last season we did it really well. This season I've not as many opportunities to do that. I've had to make substitutions, which I don't like doing. But now we're getting everyone back. I think the only ones I've played the back 5 that would have played pretty much most of last season. Because I had Beavers injured for such a long time. So yeah, we're coming together with bodies getting back.
Yeah, and with Stoke then this weekend, as we know, Stoke always a tough place to go. The atmosphere there can be really fiery. Of course, you'll have in mind the away record as well, and I suppose coming off the back of the international break, and that's been a new challenge, dealing with these 2-week breaks and getting into that routine as well.
Yeah, but the way that the league goes and the fixtures go, we've got this week coming up obviously with the 3 games, But after that, it does lighten up. You know, the four weeks after that, it's all Saturday. Then you get through Christmas, which isn't as taxing as it normally was because the Bournemouth game's now on the 3rd. Then the whole of January we haven't got any midweek games unless you get an FA Cup replay. So actually, before I think a couple of weeks ago I said it gets a bit heavy. Actually, it doesn't. You become a lot more consistent in the weeks that you can have one in games and also in training. It makes it a lot easier. You get more work into them. You can organise better and prepare better for games. Obviously, we've had 2 weeks between games, and actually, as a manager, yeah, it's nice to get a breather, but you end up just overthinking things, and it drives you mad a little bit. But I'm glad the game's coming. I prefer winners' games. I do, and I think the players do. And look, we know it's another tough game. We know their way form. We know Stoke will be talking about it, and they'll probably try and kill us off early. But we have to change things, you know, and it's up to us to do it. No one's going to do it for us. So the mentality's got to be correct. We have to go to Stoke and try and win the game. That's going to be the mentality.
Yeah, and you've been talking about the psychology side of it and getting a bit of specialist help as well. One of the issues, as you've touched upon there, is that once it becomes a thing and everyone's talking about it, that becomes another thing to deal with.
But the only way it goes away is if you get results. You know, it's easy to say because the more it happens, the longer it happens, the more people talk about it. Our job's to stop people talking about it and stop getting asked questions, which are totally understandable. So we have to do our jobs away from home. At home we've been good, away from home nowhere near. We know that, and it can't continue because if it does, it leaves you in all sorts of trouble. So listen, we've had a long couple of weeks. We've had certain meetings about it, and now we've got to just go and do our job. Simple as that. And we've got to compete. And do you know what? There'll be games home or away, as we've seen at home, where we play really well and you don't get the points. That's a lot more acceptable than just playing rubbish and getting battered. That can't happen. Another Swansea performance can't happen, you know, and it's up to me and the players to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah, and in a sense as well, to have had the win at Hull, and psychologically that has to change things to have the 3 points away from home.
Yeah.
It was the worst possible scenario then to fall behind so early at Swansea because you didn't really get a chance to build on it.
No, I mean, look, that was certain circumstances that made the game the way it was. You know, even in the games that we've had this season, you know, even I go back to Coventry, we're well in the game and then obviously it's boom. But whereas Swansea, it was just like, it was painful because you're playing against a really good team, possession-based team, and it became very, very difficult. And it's almost like you want to just keep it at 3, which is, as a manager, I've never experienced too often because I don't like it. But sometimes you have to take it on the chin. But you don't want to repeat that. Look, when you go away from home, you have to be solid. You have to make sure that you get through the opening period of the game well, do all the basics correct. We know we've got the quality to hurt teams, but you know we've got to get the basics correct first to give ourselves the best chance.